Hello, today's tip of the day. You know what, we see a lot of people that are looking to transition out of real estate. And that's because kids might be moving out and mom and dad want to have a house here and one next to where they move out to. Others are looking to downsize, move into a transitional living facility. Others are looking to get out of that real estate because they've been landlords for 20, 30 years and they just don't want to go to Home Depot anymore. I've got 3 time and money saving steps that ensures that you sell your property on your terms. First step, okay? You want to understand what the impact of taxation is going to be when you sell the property, because you're going to derive a certain amount of money. So you're going to want to get the A, which is to find a good realtor. Somebody sells 20, 30, 40 homes on an annualized basis. They'll bring in an appraiser and a stager who will be able to tell you this is what it's worth here, but if you do this, this is what it's worth. And that way you can figure out what your basis is and how much you're going to owe, and then you can implement a tax strategy, which could be a 1031 exchange, a deferred sales trust, a conservation, and there's 6 or 7 others. Next step, you want to figure out what you're going to derive from the proceeds of the sale and how your income is going to affect your tax return in the future. Example, you know what, you might decide because you're going to get so much income and you got to pay so much in taxes that you're going to need to use a reverse mortgage or a forward mortgage, or you're going to figure out, hey, I'm going to have to pay it all off, and then I need to find ways to reduce my taxes but increase my income. The next stage is, hey, you want to get comfortable with the investments that you're using because it's your largest asset. And you're going to use that investments to fund, your trips, the tours, the college savings, your long-term care. So it's important to get the A to Z before you move forward in selling your property, because that way you'll know how it will impact you. You'll be able to do it with peace of mind, but most importantly, you'll do it because it makes sense to you and it's in your best interest and nobody else. That's the tip of the day. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back. You know what? There's one thing that Prince, Dennis Hopper, Marlon Brando, Supreme Court Justice Warren Burger, and many others have in common. They didn't have a will or a trust. And you know what? 55% of Americans, when they pass away, don't have a will or trust. And this creates big problems with probate. And what a lot of people don't realize about probate, it's a lawsuit against yourself, funded by yourself, and you lose. This is the reason why we have Brenda Geiger here. She's an esteemed trust and estate lawyer in the Carlsbad area. Now, I just want to show you just a few of the books that she's written: Secrets of a Great Estate Planning, Secrets of Estate Planning for the Affluent, Protecting an Aging Partner, Protecting Your Children from IRA Inheritance, Protecting You and Your Business. She's a wonderful attorney. She's done many things. Brenda, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for you as well, because this incident with Prince is very timely. And a lot of people don't realize that, you know what, you don't have to have $400 or $500 million in assets, or, a couple $100,000 in assets could create some significant problems in somebody's life. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. It's really shocking that Prince doesn't have an estate plan set up, especially given the fact that his estate's worth $300 to $500 million.
Wow, that's crazy. Now, why do you think people don't set up an estate plan?
I think some people honestly are just in denial that it's going to happen someday. But I think they should be focused on more than just what happens when I die. What happens if I don't die? So having the right players set up so that somebody can take over and manage your estate and manage your affairs and your health care in the event that you have an incapacitating event, even just an accident, or if you had a heart attack, or any number of other things that could happen to you that now you can't be in control of everything.
Now, you know what, at one time, a long time ago, I talked to another financial advisor, and he wasn't too happy with me. And the reason why he wasn't too happy is because his parents wanted to move the money away from him over to my firm. And he, we were helping his parents get a trust. Mm-hmm. And he says, oh, probate's nonsense. Now, what I'd like to know from you is, if somebody's got $400,000 or $500,000 in assets, what's the probate process like?
Well, even a simple probate in California, and I can speak more specifically to San Diego County, but we used to have 2 courthouses in San Diego County. Now we only have 1, so we have basically 2 judges downtown San Diego. And we're really backed up, and that's due to budget cuts in California. But in some states, it's not such a big deal if it's a more modest estate to go through the probate process, because their fees aren't terrific like they are here in California. But it's not uncommon for a probate estate here in California to run 5 to 8% of the value of the estate, and that doesn't include any debt. So whatever the value, so let's say you have a house that's worth $900,000 and you have a mortgage against it that's $500,000. It's not the $400,000 that the probate fee is calculated on for the executor and for the attorney, but it's the full $900,000.
So somebody could have $500,000 in assets, $1 million home, and end up paying $150,000 just to go through a probate.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to run the calculations, but yeah, it's not an insignificant amount. And then there are filing fees and probate referee fees, and not to mention the time delay that is typically about 16 to 24 months in Southern California to get everything pushed through.
Now, one of the things that I've seen, and people have had some problems, especially when they have kids, and the kids are under the age of 18, husband passes away, the wife's there, they don't have a trust. How does that adversely affect the kids and the family, the whole dynamic there?
Well, I'll tell you a case that I dealt with a few years ago that went through probate. The husband had the house in his name only and a pretty large brokerage account in his name. His wife had less than perfect credit, so when they refinanced the house, it went into his name, and he had just never bothered to put her onto the brokerage account.
Oh.
2 minor children. And what happened was that we had to get representation for the 4 and 7-year-old because they had an economic interest in his estate, and they were going to get a big chunk of the estate, and she was going to get some. And she claimed that there was a will, but she couldn't locate it. Now, they didn't have a trust is what they should have had. So in the end, it took about almost 3 years to go through that process because of all the complications in that estate. But eventually we came to a settlement where she got the house and the kids got mainly the brokerage account. So now those kids have full access to it at age 18. Now for her estate that she had outside of her husband or that they had community interests in, we were able to set up a trust and protect that for her children and not let her children be trustees until a much later age. And we were actually able to wrap some asset protection around those continuing trusts for those boys.
That's a mess.
Yeah.
Now, what about when it comes to healthcare documents? I see people, they have a heart attack or a stroke, they get rushed to the hospital and they don't have that power of attorney or that healthcare agent. Why is that so important? How can it affect them?
Well, under the HIPAA laws, they're technically not supposed to give any information, not about your status or even the fact that you're there, to anybody without HIPAA authorization. So if you are incapacitated, meaning you can't speak and you can't sign a document giving that authority and that right, then the people that are looking for you may not be able to find you or to obtain information about your condition. So that's what we call the HIPAA. That's federal law. Mm-hmm. And then we have a state thing called an advanced healthcare directive. So in our statute, we have all these rules for how people can make decisions for you in the event that you're not able to. So the statute gives us some leeway to customize it, but we have some basic provisions about end-of-life decisions, the choice to prolong life, the choice not to prolong life. And if you remember Terry Schiavo down in Florida, the big battle between her parents and between her husband for 10 years before she died, just an astronomical amount of money spent on that court case. And she may not have wanted to live in that state, but no one will ever know because she didn't do that document.
Now, one of the things that just to go back to the Advanced Healthcare Directive and the healthcare agent, basically it enables somebody that you choose to make decisions on your behalf, which means they can fight with the doctors, they can fight with the insurance company, they can move them from a bad hospital to a good hospital. Is that correct? Yeah, absolutely. And that document can be made effective immediately. Most people don't do it that way, but sometimes when we have an older client that maybe their health is starting to fail or they're starting to have memory issues, we may want them to make it effective immediately so that we don't have to go out and get doctors' incapacity declaration. Now, the durable power of attorney over financial, that's over your finances and stuff like that. Now, why is it so important to have that document if you have health issues? Well, you're going to need somebody to take care of your finances that are outside the trust, maybe file tax returns, if they need to deal with a nursing home on the financial side. There's all kinds of different reasons, but if you're not, towards the end of your life, it's an important document to have also for planning purposes. Let's say you didn't move an important asset to your trust, you no longer have capacity to do so. In the power of attorney, we can give somebody the power to fund your trust with your assets or to execute a disclaimer on your behalf.
if you don't have capacity. I actually had that happen in a case. It was a larger estate, the exemption was smaller at that time, and we needed to utilize both husband and wife's exemption, and wife died suddenly and unexpectedly, and dad had had a stroke, so he didn't have capacity. So we were able to execute a disclaimer through the power of attorney agent in order to utilize both of their estate planning exemptions. So we saved the estate hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's great. Now, you're the founder of the Trust and Estate Planning Symposium. You have the event coming up in June. Could you tell us about it? We've got about a minute to go.
Well, we have every year, we have an annual event, and it's for professionals, but many clients attend this as well. And we have 4 speakers. 3 of them are attorneys. 1 is a business broker that sells businesses. So it's educational. This year we're talking about IRA trusts, or retirement plan trusts as they're more commonly known. We also have a speaker talking about an irrevocable trust strategy to save an estate, millions of dollars in the event that they need to save on estate taxes. And we have someone that's going to be talking about trust protectors, which are a way to help in irrevocable trust documents as well as revocable to plan for things that are unaccounted for. So we got some really, really awesome topics this year. I'm so excited about it.
Brenda, thanks for coming on to the show. If you'd like to go to her event, you're going to see that information on the screen. You'll be able to see it at our website at sextonadvisorgroup.com. If you'd like to get more information on Brenda, you can go to our website as well. There's going to be a link to her website. Again, thanks for coming on to the show.
Thank you so much,
Stick with
Steve.
us. We'll be right back.
My name's Kevin Grangetto. I live in Escondido, California, and I had my system put in by Baker Electric Solar. When they got here, they were ready to go. Started early, 6 in the morning. They parked off site, so they were able to get everything in, on the roof, hooked up, and done in a matter of 3 days. And it was really easy for my wife and I to work with them. You just don't want a lot of these challenges to be, affecting the way that you do your life. And when they got in and out of here, it was excellent. It was easy. It's just the way they told me it would be.
Hello, welcome back. I have Jonathan Jerotz, betterly known JJ. He's the Vice President of Retail Sales at Synergy One Lending. He's going to talk to us about Proposition 60 and 90. This is very significant to you, especially if you're looking to downsize your residence. And we're so very, very lucky to have JJ here for our Money or Mortgage Minute segment. JJ, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, and always good to be here.
Yes,
I
yes,
appreciate
yes.
it.
This Proposition 60 and 90, please help us understand what's going on with that and how it could benefit anybody that's over 55 that's looking to possibly downsize their residence.
Yeah, definitely, Steve. I think it's one of those things. We're always talking about not letting money fall through the cracks, right? Yeah. So this is one of those things. I mean, as people are getting older, we're seeing it. People want to potentially downsize, or you could call it right sizing, right? You got this big house, 5-bedroom house. Kids have been long gone. What do you do with these extra bedrooms? But one of the things that I hear people saying is, a good example, right? I have $1 million home right now, and I've been here 30 years. And when I bought it, it was $100 grand. And my property taxes are $1,500 a year. I don't want to give that up because I'm going to downsize and move. And maybe we downsize to a $600,000 or $700,000 house, and all of a sudden my property taxes are $8 grand a year. So I just lost a lot of income, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So Proposition 60 and 90, it's already in place, and just not a lot of people know about it. I think it's important for our audience to know about it. So there's 10 counties in California that belong to this right now. Now, one of the counties, they have a year left in their sort of agreement, but I'm sure they'll probably extend it. But the counties, Alameda County, El Dorado, Los Angeles, Orange County, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Diego, San Mateo, Ventura, Santa Clara. So a lot of major sort of counties. Proposition 60 is intra-county. So you're selling in San Diego County and you're rebuying in San Diego County. Super easy. Proposition 90 is inter-county. So I'm moving from Los Angeles to San Diego, and I'm going to transfer my tax base that way. So the key components, Steve, are this. Number one, you have to be 55 years and older. You have to be. And it's on a primary home. So it's a home that you're living in right now. So according to the tax records, you're claiming this homeowner's exemption, which is like $7,000. But it means that you've lived in the home for the last couple years, or it's a primary home, primary to primary. The biggest thing is you have to buy for equal or lesser value than what you're selling.
That's actually a good thing.
It's a good thing. That's what we're talking about, right? We're not talking about going up. We're talking about, downsizing here. So your current home is worth $1 million, and you want to move into that $500,000, $600,000 house. Well, you can transfer that old property tax base of, let's call it $1,500 a year, to this new home, and the savings can be extraordinary. I mean, you could save $500, $600, $700 a month just in property taxes.
You know what? For somebody looking to downsize, then that could make all the difference in the world. Because if you really think about it, I know somebody right now, their property taxes are $371, and they've had the house since the 60s, and that means it's almost 60 years old, and it's worth 1.3. So if they're going to buy a $500,000 home and they keep $371 as opposed to $9,000, that's what, a $700 a month or $800 a month difference in just the in their
Just
budget.
expense. Yeah.
And that means trips, tours, the whole shot. That's a big thing to know.
Yeah.
You know what? That's one of those things that would actually enable people to look at downsizing, especially if they're over 55, 60.
Yeah, it's huge. And you have, the cool thing is, you could sell, and you have 2 years to buy or build a new home. I mean, you could build a new home too. So you have time. Or you could even buy and then sell. And so you have time. It's not something that has to be done instantaneously. You have 3 years to file the paperwork for it. So it's not something that people have to kind of rush into. You just need to know the benefits of it and how to file the forms. You got to file the forms. Another question that's come up is, what if my property is in a trust, or I'm buying a property that's held in my
most
trust?
of them are in a trust.
Most of them are in a trust, right? It's a big deal. It's okay. That's okay. Let's say you were granted a home, or gifted a home, or inherited a home.
That's important.
That's an important one. And let's say you inherited a home and that you filed the paperwork for a parent-child exclusion to keep that old property tax base. Well, as long as you're living in that house, now you're 55, you can transfer that property tax base. So think of the power of that. You were given a home from your parents, they're gone. You're
as
now,
long as you're 55,
55 and older.
You can keep. Wow,
you can
that'd
keep
be
that
cool.
property
Might have to
tax
buy.
base. Yeah,
You might have to buy somebody's house.
So there's a lot of different components to it. It's pretty simple stuff when it all boils down, but the money savings can be really extraordinary.
Now, how do people find out? You know what? You want to have a realtor that knows these things, right?
Sure,
You want to have a
definitely.
mortgage person that knows these things. So it's important to have an ensemble of people who understand this.
Yep.
Because the reality is, I'm a financial professional, but I'm not on the real estate side, so I don't know all these things. That's why I go to people like you or to Glenn and Shannon and the Alliance Group, because they know.
Yep.
So, wow, that's wonderful. JJ, thanks for being part of the show today. Geez, that's something else.
Well, always trying to bring something new.
Well, the bottom line is, if you don't want your money falling through the cracks, you want to deal with somebody like JJ Jerotz here at Synergy One Lending, because they know those things that can make a difference in your life. More importantly, they can impact the quality of your life. So you know what? You want to stick with us. We got lots more to come. We'll see you soon.
Hi, I'm Steve Madsen. My wife Debbie and I are the owners of this fabulous home in beautiful Coronado. We decided to put solar in the home because we wanted to have a smaller carbon footprint and we wanted to save some money. I'm a retired contractor and I've worked with Baker Electric in the past, so when I found out they had a solar division, I was ecstatic. They're a good company, got integrity, a good work ethic. I would definitely recommend Baker. My wife and I are extremely happy with what they've done for us.
Wasn't JJ great? Gave us some great information on Proposition 60 and 90. It'll make a difference, especially if you're transitioning from your house, especially if you're over the age of 55. Our next segment, we have a celebrity. His name's Craig Sewing. He's the host of The American Dream. He also has a radio show called The Craig Sewing Show on 1170 a.m. at 6 o'clock on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, a celebrity.
You're a celebrity.
Awesome, man.
You know, you're a celebrity.
Like a C- celebrity in San Diego. Hey, I'll take it.
You're a celebrity when you're asked to host the military ball.
Yeah, that's
an
cool
honor.
thing.
That's a big honor. I wish to have someday, but obviously I'm not there and you're there.
That was something else, yeah.
We brought Craig in to talk about some politics here. Now, I would really like your feedback on Bernie and Hillary, and then we're going to talk about the Donald.
Yeah, all very interesting topics, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, what I think is troubling about the political picture right now is that these are the best we came up with, right? So I don't know if anybody is really a raving fan of any of these candidates right now. So let's look at each one of them. Hillary Clinton, you kind of know what you're getting. You're going to get another 4 years of President Barack Obama. She might be even a little bit more left, so big government. If that's your kind of thing, that's your vote, right? Bernie Sanders, I think, would completely change what's made this country who we are. He's a declared socialist, big government. I don't know. I think one of the great things about this country is we're a free market. Capitalism is an amazing thing as long as you punish the bad guys, which doesn't always happen because of lobbies and lawyers. So, Bernie's the socialist, and then you have this wild card that is Donald Trump, and I think he's really interesting because I can look at things objectively and not try and sway people's opinion. I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote in privacy, but when it comes to having some of these opinions about people, I hate the never Trump stuff or the never Hillary. Be for something.
Oh, yeah.
But I look at Trump and the people that like him, I totally get it. We're sick of politicians, sick of the media, sick of political correctness, and he is kind of the outsider that represents everything that's not the status quo. So he's rocked the status quo. On the other side of the equation, Donald Trump is somewhat polarizing. He says some things that are a little outrageous and offensive. And so when you look at him potentially being president of the United States, there's times I look at him like, man, this guy could be exactly what you need to get this economy on track and get our country moving again. He could also be a complete narcissist disaster, right? So I don't know. So not any one of them, I think, is the obvious choice. But no matter who it is, I hope the country can rally around that president and we can get the country going.
One of the things that I saw is a big statistic that showed between 2000 and now in reference to the middle class. And you see, a long time ago, the wealthy was only about 5 or 6%. Now it's about 18 to 20%. And then you see the middle class, which was more than 50%, well more than the 50% of the whole economy is actually shrunken. And also see the poverty level is actually increased. And a lot of people look at that and say, oh my God, people who are in the middle class, they're seeing their jobs go away and they're saying, hey, I like Trump for that, or they like Bernie for that because he's going to give them everything. And everybody
likes free stuff. Right? I mean, but at some point in time, you run out of other people's money when we talk about like free college and things like that. What is really troubling, right? Alan Nevin, who spoke at the Silver Hair Tsunami, your great event that you put on, he has a book called The Great Divide. He's talking about population and where people are moving, where money and profitability is really going. The disappearing middle class, I think, is one of the biggest things we have as an issue with this country. And the question is, well, how do you fix it? This idea that, we're going to force jobs or force free stuff, and like that, it's a free marketplace. You can't do that. You have to have a landscape where the middle class can flourish. Well, how do you do that? The government doesn't create jobs.
Never has.
Businesses, small businesses create jobs. We need to empower businesses. And here in California, we have companies that are moving to Texas, companies that are moving to Nevada, South Dakota, because here we tax the heck out of you.
Regulate the heck out of you.
Your federal taxes can go all the way up to 35%, 13% from the state, 7+% sales tax. I mean, when you look at what somebody's earning and they're losing potentially 60%, you're going to lose jobs to other parts of the country, and not to mention jobs that move to other parts of the world, as we've seen companies that are moving to Canada and buying some of these other companies. And I don't hate the player, I hate the game. If you want to fix that, I think you lower the corporate tax rate and you create incentives for businesses to create jobs here. And I think that's how you bring back the middle class, not forcing legislation and a forced increase on minimum wage. These are all government enforcement that have counterproductive things that can happen, i.e. people get laid off for more work, inflation,
And I agree with all this because I agree with what you're saying. The reality here is this: if you want a vibrant stock market, you've got to have a vibrant business environment. And anybody that curtails that scares me because I'm worried about my clients that are 50 and older. Because are they going to be able to generate the income from the investments they have in order to live the life that they want? And if you have the wrong candidate, that might not be there for them. And it's very important that people vote the right way. Now, you host the American Dream Show. It's all about getting the American dream. And part of the American dream is real estate. And you've got a wonderful event coming up. It's called Real Estate, the Sales Mastery.
Yep.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so when I talk about the American dream, certainly people think of real estate, but I think that, look at what we've talked about already today. We've talked about politics, political divide, a low approval rating in Congress. losing jobs. The reality is millions of people want into this country, not out. So whether you are someone who's trying to start businesses and create wealth, or maybe you're someone like me, at one point in time in my life, my back was against the wall. I had $100,000 in debt. I was able to get out of it. There's no debtor's jail in this country. So even when things aren't going well, there's opportunities here. And when things are going well, you can grow, you can capitalize, you can create jobs for others. So I believe that the American dream is alive and well. I think the news makes you think otherwise because it sells on negativity, and that's how they get their ratings, unfortunately. Just go to CNN.com and see the nonsense there. That's what gets people to click, and advertisers spend money that way. But I believe that there's a more positive, uplifting message. It is the American dream. And so on May 26th, we are inviting people of the real estate finance mortgage community to come, and I believe that a rising tide lifts all boats. So we are going to just add a ton of value into these industry professionals. We're expecting a couple thousand people, and I just feel like if we bring great speakers, guys like Alan Nevin, who you know well, Mayor Faulkner will be there, a guy named Tom Ferry, top producers from different industries will be on stage. When you give that value, it's all about the value, and I just think it's going to be good for the audience, down to one professional at a time, and I think it'll be good for all the people that are here watching as we build the market. Let me fix my collar here too, as it's popping out a little bit. I like being on that side better. People like clean me up, they get me ready here, they just threw me in the seat.
Craig, thanks for being on the show again. If you would like to attend that event, where do people go? Yeah,
go to salesmastery2016.com. So you can RSVP. If you are a viewer of the Silver Hair Tsunami or Friends of Steve, your ticket is comped. Just go to salesmastery2016.com.
And again, that's May 26th. Where at?
Convention Center, 8 a.m. sharp.
Thanks, Craig. Hey, stick with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Steve, and this is my wife Amy. We just had our solar panels installed by Baker Electric. Living out here in the East County, the temperatures can be in the mid-70s to over 100.
We didn't know a lot about solar. Speaking with our solar consultant, he was there to answer any of our questions that we had. He was always there when we needed him.
I think the fact that Baker does go in-house with their employees, everyone is very professional and very polite, and they're on budget. We couldn't have gone with a better company.
Wonderful show today. We had Craig Sohan talk about the political environment. Also, if you're in the real estate profession and you'd like to go to the real estate sales mastery event, hey, all you got to do to go to the Silver Hair Tsunami website. As Craig said, entrance is free because you came through us. Next, we had Jonathan Jerotz talk about one of the biggest propositions at 1690 that allows you to keep your tax breaks. If it's my folks' tax breaks, that means they're keeping $315 and paying that in property taxes as opposed to $9,000. Gigantic savings will be for you too as well. Brenda Geiger talked about how important it is to have a will or a trust, a will and a trust. For more information on those items and more, go to the Silver Hair Tsunami website. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.